Good evening and a very warm welcome to St Margaret's. Lovely to see so many of you coming to support organ music and our recitals. And this week, of course, we have one of our own. Ben has been with us. Well, actually, Ben's been with us for quite a while now, but in a more formal capacity since the autumn. So it's lovely to come here and have him play. One of the nicest things is that this organ is, I'm sure Ben will talk a little bit about it, but it can be a little bit Marmite in terms of organists. Some organists love it and some organists hate it. And it is really lovely to have an organist with us who really appreciates and enjoys and loves it. And I'm sure in the repertoire tonight we will hear music that are well suited to it. But almost every week I have someone coming up to me when Ben is playing saying how much they have enjoyed it. So it's really wonderful to have this opportunity to spend some time listening to this performance. Do feel very welcome. There are loos in the parish centre and the bar is open at the back. But most of all, enjoy yourselves and would you please welcome Ben.
Thank you very much. That's one of my favorite pieces to play. one of the first pieces I ever learned. I was reading up a little bit about the history of that piece, and apparently Bach was given that fugue subject I think it was in an audition that he had, and he improvised that fugue. So there we are. There are mortals, and then there's Bach. It seems entirely natural that I should be playing Bach, centering the recital around it today, as we had the dog blessing and the dog show today. So Bach must be the thing. I'm playing two more pieces of Bach today. Why so much Bach? Well, of course, he's very well known as being the composer for the organ. This particular organ is a wonderful instrument. It was built in the style of a Baroque organ. So this would have been very much a sort of typical organ, even though it was actually built in 1992. It's very much the sort of organ that Bach would have been used to. Of course, there would have been a manual blower. There would have been some little boy who had the task of having to keep all the air going. And of course, it's electric now. Why is this such a good organ for Bach? Partly because of the sounds, the kinds of stops are very similar. So you have on the grate, the main manual that I play, which is the lower one. There aren't many stops, but they're just right for Bach's music. And the pedal board is called a straight pedal board. Most modern organs have a curved pedal board, so the ends are curved so that you can reach them more easily. But this is a straight one because that's how they used to be. It takes quite a bit of getting used to. And when I first arrived here earlier in the summer, I was playing fistfuls of wrong notes, or feetful of wrong notes, because I wasn't used to the straight board because it's completely different distances. Now I am. But the problem is that when I play anywhere else, lots of wrong notes again. The second piece of Bach I'm playing for you is the Passacaglia. This is, I think, also one of Bach's greatest organ pieces. It consists of the Passacaglia itself, which is an 8-bar melody, and that is repeated virtually all the time in the pedals as a ground bass, so it just keeps repeating over and over. So it's essentially a theme and variations, 21 variations, and that ingenious variations, and then that leads straight into a fugue, and this fugue is, again, quite a complicated fugue. Most fugues, you have a subject. So you have a little melody, and then that just gets repeated however many parts there are. Often it's in 4 parts. In this fugue, there are 2 subjects. So you have a subject and then a second subject. And they are derived from the Passacaglia theme. So the theme, which is... much slower than that, but that's the theme. So the first half of that, it becomes the first fugue subject, and then immediately underneath, he uses the second half as another subject. So there are 2 subjects, and then he also has a counter subject that comes in just a few bars later. And it's so you have a double fugue, and it's in 5 parts. His ingenuity in the fugue, I think no one writes fugues like Bach. He really was the master of that. And then the piece I'm playing before that, Nimrod, from the well-known Enigma variations. This is a piece which my mother loved very much, and she died earlier this year. on Good Friday. So I'm playing this in memory of her. Thank you. Right, now I have a chance to just rest my feet for a little bit, 4 minutes. I'll be playing the Swan from the Carnival of the Animals. This is a piece I associate with childhood. It was one of the first pieces I listened to on gramophone record. One thing I never realized until, I don't know, 5-10 years ago, is that one of the movements, I think it's tortoises, tortu, who's got good French? Is it turtles or tortoise? Ah, tortu, right, so there we are. Take your pick, but tortoises, that movement, lovely slow movement, is actually the can slowed down very dramatically. So next time you listen to that, just listen to the tune and you'll realize. But it's amazing I went so long without realizing it. So the Swan and Saint-Saëns seems to me to depict it with the semiquavers, the gentle accompaniment, possibly being the feet of the swan paddling away under the water, and then the serenity of the swan is reflected in the melody. But in this case, the feet is my right hand, and the melody is my left hand. And then finally, the well-known Toccata and Fugue by Bach. Bach was a 20-year-old when he went for a walk. There was a renowned organist in his time called Dietrich Buxtehude, which some of you may have heard of, not nearly as well known as Bach, but he was a very famous organist in his time, so much so that Bach went to listen to him play the organ in Lübeck, and he walked almost 400 kilometers, 250 miles, just to go and hear him play, because of course in those days you couldn't just sort of put on Spotify or whatever to listen. You had to actually go and hear some live music. So he spent 4 months in Lübeck and literally copying down Buxtehude's music on manuscript paper, which he then took back with him. So Buxtehude was a big influence on Bach, and I think that the famous Toccata reflects that a lot. Particularly the Toccata, and also the fact that it feels so sort of improvised and lots of different sort of colours in it. So there we are. So that's my final piece. And even if you haven't walked 250 miles, thank you very much for coming. Hope you enjoy. By the way, this is the one piece in which I don't couple the manuals together. And to uncouple them, you have to actually pull one of the keyboards towards you, which again is quite a unique thing about this organ.
that was really wonderful. Do join us next week. We have Robert Bridge, who has been a Putney pianist for a generation and is a wonderful pianist. He's playing some wonderful romantic pieces for piano, and it will be a joy and wonderful. So come along next Sunday at 4 o'clock for that. But what a wonderful performance. Always lovely to hear the Swan. I used to play the Swan on the cello. My intonation was not as good as that. It's easier on an organ, isn't it? But a really, really wonderful recital. Wonderful to hear more about the organ and to just enjoy some tremendous pieces played on an organ perfectly designed for them by an organist who is perfectly suited to playing them. So thank you from all of us. What a wonderful joy tonight. And just a final note, because I have to. Obviously, you didn't walk 250 miles tonight. If you did, you are relieved of this responsibility. But if you're able to donate to tonight, it helps keep our live performances going. We have a wonderful program this autumn. We've heard some remarkable things already, and there are some wonderful things still to come. But if you want to keep live music happening in Putney, we need people to support it. So please do give if you're able. There's 2 card machines at the back, and there's a plate. And do support it also by coming along each week and enjoying some of the best musicians in London. Thank you.